Hey, welcome back to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. I'm your host, Coach Zach. I'm here with Coach Zach and CJ Hunt, aka Silly C.
Yo.
What's going on? That intro was way better than last episode. Last episode, Brandy and CJ sat in different places, totally screwed me up. I was a mess. So I nailed that one. What's up, guys? We're back. This week, we're talking about protein problems. All about protein and how you can eat it and just get jacked. That's pretty much all you have to do. No. But before we get into today's episode, I want to give a little shout out to a client of the week. This gentleman has been with us for a while now and is incredibly consistent, has struggled a little bit with the diet aspect, but as of late, the last several months has really started to dial that in and is doing really, really well. And sometimes that's the way that it will go, where somebody will come in, they master the workout routine and they're super consistent with that. They still struggle a little bit with the dietary part, but they just never give up on the workout piece. And then eventually when they are ready, they start to nail the diet and then the results just flow, right? So this gentleman's name is Larry Evans. We want to give a shout out to him. Super proud of the commitment and the transformation that he's presently making. So good job, Larry. All right. I'm going to cut you guys off. We're going to talk about protein. We're excited to talk about protein today. So the question is, are you getting enough protein in your diet? Zach, why is that important to get enough protein?
Protein is it fuels protein synthesis, which is the growth of muscles and a ton of other important things in your body. And if you're going to focus on your nutrition, if there's one thing that you got to nail, if you want to seek positive results and gain muscle, lose body fat, stuff like that, protein is it. Because if you nail your carbs and fats and sugar and all that other stuff, but you still aren't getting enough protein, it's going to be really hard for you to sufficiently supply your body with everything it needs and actually continue to build and grow, because you build from protein.
Yeah. And one of the most, we're about to hit the new year, right? Everybody's going to be out there setting these weight loss, fitness, New Year's resolutions, and they're going to start exercising. They're going to increase the amount that they're exercising. And then they're probably going to go on a diet and reduce the amount of calories that they're taking in.
Yeah.
And restrict their calories. What's going to happen? outside of them not being able to stick with that, because it's not sustainable. But when you work out, you're increasing the demand on your body. You need protein as, a source of fuel and recovery. Your body's fueling your body's ability to recover. If without protein, you're going to be miserable and you're not going to go anywhere. You're probably going to gain body fat is what's going to happen.
Yep. Right. Cause if you look at just people tend to get very worried about the calories. Protein has the highest thermic effect of food, which just means you have to burn and expend the most amount of calories just to consume and break down protein. So if you're worried about losing a bunch of calories and you're not eating any protein, that's a high amount of calories that you're just throwing out the door right off the bat. Not outside of just the fact that you need it to build muscle and to get stronger.
Wait, so what you're saying is that I'm taking protein in. Those are calories, but in order for me to digest the protein, it's costing me calories.
Yeah. Calories is just a unit of energy. Calories, I think everybody just hears and they just think of food, but that's why there's calories as a unit for exercise. If you need to on a cardio equipment or whatever that may be, whether it's accurate or not is different, but calories is a unit of energy. So you need calories for everything that you do to within your body, right? So just chewing alone requires energy. And that was a perfect example. Protein is going to be the hardest to break down and absorb in your body, but just break down in general, which would be something as simple as chewing that is going to require the most amount of energy. Think if you're eating a steak compared to rice, right? Like it's
Yeah.
nowhere near the same thing. It's so much more like taxing. Like if you have a huge like piece of steak or whatever, be like you require so much more just to eat it alone, which doesn't even count the like inside your body what has to take place in order to break it down and digest it.
Yeah. So I remember, I don't know if this is true or not, but I remember hearing this long time ago that celery requires more calories to chew and digest than are actually like in celery.
That would make sense.
Right. So kind of, well, celery is probably the majority water, right?
Yeah,
So it very likely is true. That might not necessarily, I wouldn't say that eating protein creates like a calorie deficit for you. No. I don't think you're burning more to digest it than you're getting. However, you're probably like to your point, you're saying, hey, your body's got to work really hard to break this down and digest it. But but you need it. So one of my, personally, one of the things that I notice is that if I don't get in, like I'm 210 pounds, roughly 185 pounds of like 185 pounds of lean body mass. Like if I don't get close to 180 grams of protein intake a day, my energy levels, I crash at the end of the day. By like 6, 7 p.m., all of a sudden I'm like, I'm so fatigued. I'm so tired. And I avoid that if I hit my protein intake for the day.
Yeah. And it's long lasting too. Like
yeah.
If you haven't eaten in a long time, you could eat something like simple and it could like momentarily like make you feel better, like not quite as hungry, but like that's why you feel at the end of the day, right? Because it's something that takes a while to get in your system, but it like sustains you.
Yes. And so we'll tie CJ into the conversation. He's just sitting over there in silence. He's like, yo, and then nothing. CJ, so for me, right, like I noticed that energy crash into the day, right? If I'm not getting in my protein throughout the day. With this episode, we wanted to talk about like, okay, obviously protein's important. You need it. You got to get it. You got to get it in. It's probably the single most important dietary piece outside, like start working out, nail your protein. You do that, you're, I would say like 70% of the way there. Right. We wanted to give everybody helpful tips on like, how do you get protein in? So what is your recommendation to make sure that you actually like hit your protein requirements?
So I know for me, a lot of times when it comes down to like protein, I always feel it in terms of like soreness, how long I'm sore. I can always tell when I've ate enough protein. I tend not to be as sore after my workouts because it's the fuel for the muscles. That's what you're using. But one great way is, if you're having trouble with it, is protein shakes. There's a reason why they make them. It can give you fuel during your workouts. It can help you meet those proteins after your workouts. Another thing is like if you're eating snacks and you want to snack on stuff, you got to get protein rich food. Nuts, peanuts, you got to have those. Trail mix is actually a really good one because it has lots of those different nutrients in there. Another one is beans. Those are great to eat. You can eat them dry. You can cook them. They're going to help you out with that. A lot of those seeds as well. You don't really think about it, but like pumpkin seeds are actually great for protein. And those actually are fairly healthy for you. Obviously, you don't want to only eat those to help you out, but that's going to help you.
So you're hitting all the like hidden proteins,
the little ones.
not the obvious ones, right? Like, so there's really kind of two key things for survival, I guess, would be like protein and fat, right? A lot of the fats that the proteins that you're mentioning are probably like primarily fats. However, they have high protein content in them. And so like this is kind of the way nature's just set up, right? Is like, hey, there's your main source or biggest bang for your buck is going to be like the animal protein. So any animal protein that you take in, that's going to be like the highest, content per gram or whatever by weight. And then nature provides us with all these other, seeds, beans, all these like spinach, right? Popeye,
Yeah.
Popeye, the spinach is the highest like protein,
Yeah. Green vegetables.
green vegetable, but it's like spinach is the one, right? So Popeye knew what he was doing.
The concentration.
The concentration. Thank you, Zach. So nature provides us with all these additional like protein sources to help complement the intake of animal protein, really, right? And I don't want to go down the vegan hole. Brandy's not on this episode, so just eat your meat.
Well, we've talked about, I know before we talked about like kind of the warrior diet, like when we were hunters and gatherers, like what did you do during the day? You ate all like the, nuts and the berries that
While
you
you're
find
hunting.
out hunting,
Yeah.
trying to look for that meat. It
Yep.
still helps you sustain and be able to move. Like it's very similar to that. Obviously we're not out hunting every day, but
Maybe you're
well,
Maybe not
Fair
every day.
enough.
Maybe not every day.
But in
Yeah.
terms of that, I mean, it's your workout, you're doing that, you're going to work, you've got to be able to have that sustenance throughout your day. It's
Yeah.
a good way to kind of chew on that while you're doing whatever work it is. And then in your big meals, obviously, I think it's good to have meat in every meal. That's another way to hit.
Well, so, but what you're really saying is like all these other, every single meal that you eat, snack meal, should have a protein,
Have some kind
in
of
it.
protein in there.
And that's really the point that you're making is like, you're saying, okay, all these other things have, it's not like what you would think. Like if you ask somebody, hey, how do you get your protein in? They'd be like, from eggs, from chicken, from beef. But you're saying, okay, all these other things have protein in them too. You need to make sure that every single snack that you have throughout the day contains protein.
Well, potato chips won't help you.
But like that's what people think when they hear snacks, right? It's
Mhm.
like that's why I take away from yours would be like there are plenty of protein rich snacks because I think people hear snacks and they think like chips and stuff like that they can sit on the couch and
Candy,
eat, right?
no.
Because they hear protein they think like it has to be a big huge meal. So like, oh, I will wait until I'm like really hungry to eat when I feel like I can eat all that much to eat my protein then. And like that's an easy way to be like that's some like supplementary snacks you can have that has protein.
Yeah. And Zach, I think I don't remember. I guess it was like one or two episodes ago, two episodes ago, you mentioned protein requirements, right? And so you basically said, hey, a pound of, for every pound of weight, you need a gram of protein.
Yeah.
Right. The minimal one is like 0.8, I think is which
that's gram per kilogram.
Okay. So like we're talking pounds in America.
Yeah. So if I weigh 160 pounds, that means I need like even like 76, 78 grams of protein. To me, that's like 2 meals. Like that's like that's what you need to like survive for your basic bodily functions to function. Like you need that minimal amount. But to me, that's like that's for sedentary people, but it's still like, to me, that's still kind of crazy.
Well, and that's kind of how I started. This was like, hey, New Year's is coming up. Everybody's going to start working out. Your energy demands are going up. Then your recovery demands are going up. Like you need to prioritize the protein every single meal to make sure that you're getting enough. Right. And so like, if we're talking somebody, and it doesn't matter, male, female, makes no difference. Nope. Right. If you weigh 150 pounds, a minimum of 150 grams of protein. I think that the threshold that I've kind of found, and I don't know if there's like research on this, but the threshold that I've kind of found is like 180 grams. It's really difficult to eat more than 180 grams. Like I'm 210, right? That's my weight. If I hit 180, I feel really good. Getting over that is just so difficult, even with shakes. You mentioned shakes. This podcast is brought to you by Legacy Nutrition.fit. Go to legacynutrition.fit for the best protein powders and amino acids. Okay, back to the episode. I just wanted to mention that because we got our supplement line, very good quality products. But even with shakes, even with anything additional, like with my diet, it's very challenging to get over that. But a lot of our clients struggle with getting in 100 grams of protein.
Yeah. Well, because usually people tend not to eat more than like 35 grams per meal. So if you look at it that way, like they're not eating 6-7 meals a day to hit that threshold, right?
Especially the ones that are intermittent fasting, right?
Yeah.
So because intermittent fasting is the thing, all you're doing is reducing your window and your ability your time frame to take in food, right? And most women, especially, like are too full after getting in 30 grams of protein. So, for several hours. And so if you reduce your window, it's like, okay, yeah, you had 30 grams of protein at this meal. Now you're not hungry for 3 more hours. Like, you shrink your window down, you have zero chance of getting in all that protein in a short period of time.
Yeah.
So I would caution people against that. Right. So, Zach, before we came in here, we were getting ready to walk into the podcast studio, and in walks a delivery from Protein House.
That's right.
For you. You're like the Protein House spokesman. You eat Protein House 4 days out of the week.
No, probably for 3.
3 days.
For sure 3.
Okay, 3 days out of the week. What does one of those meals look like for you? Like, how many grams of protein are you getting in a meal? A meal. Like
40.
Like 40 grams
probably
of protein.
Like 35 to 40.
Okay.
Over 40 is usually a bit excessive, but like if I order whatever, like what I just ordered is like a bowl, that's got like at least 35 to 40 grams.
Yeah.
But then like if you get a shake, I wouldn't eat that all at once, but like a shake alone has like 30, 35 grams too.
Yeah. And so you're like in a meal and a snack, right? You're getting 70 grams of protein, let's say.
Definitely.
Okay. So for a lot of people, that's their whole like day that they're getting in.
Yeah.
Right?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. And really the point that I want to make here is that you will not lose fat doing that.
No.
because a gram of protein has 4 calories, right? Give or take based off of the food. But as a general rule of thumb, that's not a lot of calories. You're eating more calories than that in the day. So where are those calories coming from? They're not coming from protein sources. They're not coming from the good sources. So if you prioritize the protein and, make 40%, and that's not, every person's a little bit different, but if you make 40% of your intake protein, and you're working out, you're probably going to see some decent results from that.
Yeah. And like adding the protein, like if you increase up to 40%, that also by default now lowers one of the other ones that maybe you don't want high.
Yes.
Right. Like
yes.
if you really like you're worried about the carbs and all that, but then you're eating 20% of your macros as protein. Well, where else do you think all that other percentage is going to come from? Like it has to come from that. So if we jack up protein, then now by default, we have to lower fats or carbs.
Yeah. And so let's talk about let's give somebody just some helpful tips. So CJ, you kind of started with this, right? Like, hey, these, nuts and stuff, they have protein, but for more in the morning, I'd like to do time restricted eating and I like to have big meals, but sometimes I'm busy, right? And I know, okay, I gotta have breakfast. I'm eating eggs. I'm eating 4 to 6 eggs at breakfast and when I'm eating breakfast. Okay. So that's good protein source right there. Sometimes I have beef with that. Like I'll have ground beef, or if I have some leftover steak or something, I'm having steak and eggs. So right there, decent amount of protein. Okay.
4 grams per egg.
4 grams.
6 grams per egg.
Yeah. There's not as much protein in eggs as people think.
No.
Think there are, right? And then next step would be protein shake. That's the most convenient, simplest thing as a snack. You literally take a bag of powder with you, mix it with water and drink it.
Oh. If you add milk, you can even get a little bit more protein in there too. And that's what I always like to do with the protein shakes is add milk into it because you get a little bit extra. And it also helps with some of the nutrients that you need too.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of protein bars personally. I think it's a candy bar with protein added to it. They're packed with sugar. It's a great solution if you're on the run. If you're on the go and that's your only option, you're out and about, eat it, but just know what you're doing. Don't be at home having a kitchen full of food and eat a protein bar.
Only eat protein bars. Actually, met somebody that did that. It doesn't work out very well.
Only eat there's a new fad diet for you. Yeah. Just Snickers all day long, right?
Big muscles and a big belly. That was about all it was. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so those are two really simple things, right? Like you got eggs, maybe some meat in the morning. Adding some nuts into that is a really good option. Or people would like to do shakes for breakfast, right? If they're busy and they're on the go, that's not a problem. Do a shake, but add some yogurt to it. Mm-hmm. Yogurt's a good source of protein. And then you put a scoop of protein powder into that. And then you can mix all kinds of stuff in there. Seeds, fruit, whatever. How about lunches? Like, everybody on planet Earth eats a salad for lunch, right? That's always what I hear. It's like, what do you do for lunch? I eat salad. I'm like, really? You eat salad for lunch every day? That's it. I don't think so. Yeah. Sometimes I have some chicken in there. Like, come on, guys. I know you're hitting Chick-fil-A. I know you're hitting Chick-fil-A. But like, what are some go-to options for people? Cause that's really what people are like. Yeah. Okay. I get it. I need to eat more protein. Like, how do we help them? Like, have actionable steps of like, do this.
And then we were talking about adding things to like enhance your meal, whether you're adding nuts into it or not. I know something that can help too.
Seeds on a salad.
Yep. Seeds on there.
Yeah.
Honestly, cheese is good too. There's actually quite a bit of protein in cheese. I mean, I like a lot of cheese in my meals. I wouldn't add it to protein shakes or anything like that. That might not taste good. But if you're having a salad, a little bit of cheese on top of it is going to help.
Being cheesy.
But that's honestly a really good one too. If you're really struggling to get to that point, it's similar to, adding the nuts on there with it.
I'm personally against the cheese as a protein source, just because most people blow their fats for the day. Like you look at their intake and they'll be like 50% intake on fat, and cheese is high. It's good, good protein source, but also high in fat. So just a caution warning for people like, hey, the fat of cheese, like you could easily misproportion your day.
Yeah. And can also teach, like to be put that over other things because, it's got protein, like it's better than nothing, or like having no protein. But I think people that eat cheese love cheese, and they tend to
who doesn't love cheese?
I don't love cheese. They tend to completely overdo it. Right.
Zach doesn't love anything fun. And yeah.
Okay, my answer, what they should do, not necessarily just for like what they can add into a lunch, but like you gotta prep food, because like I personally have to prep food. Like that's also why I order Protein House so much, because if I don't prep food, I don't have a legit protein source to eat. So like I know that I'm busy and I don't have time for pretty much to go get food or anything like that. So like I have to prep it. If I don't prep it, then I have to order it from a legit like reputable like protein source place, because I know like I'm busy, a lot of people are busy, most people are busy, so then they just don't eat enough. That's like also like what I hear all the time. Like if they don't eat enough protein or they don't eat enough in general, it's because they're so busy, they don't have time. Well, like I refuse to believe that you are busy every hour of the day. So on Sunday when you're like watching TV, like put something on a pan and prep your meat, and like you don't need a scale. You don't need to be so precise or anything like that. Like fill up a Tupperware thing, fill up like 3 of them, whatever it may be, throw like some sort of vegetables or whatever you have in there with it and bring it to work. Takes 0 time. And then that it's like, this is enough at least, then it's better than nothing, even if you only have 1 of them for the day.
Yeah. And to that point, it's not even like you have to prep for the whole entire week.
No.
It's like, because that food's not even going to be good in 4 days or whatever. So you really need to cook like 3 times at most a week. But instead of making like 3 pieces of chicken for dinner, like make 6. And now all of a sudden you've got 3 additional meals ready, right? For you. And it took you no extra time, no extra effort. All you did was cook more of it. Right. And so like, I'll do that on the weekends, I'll grill some steak, and it's like, okay, I'm going to make extra and I'm going to have this for now, 3 more meals.
Yeah. And it doesn't take you a long time. Like if I prep like whatever, like ground turkey or chicken or whatever, like it doesn't even take like 40 minutes. So like
No.
you can just throw it on there and then do whatever you got to do and
Put
check
it
on
in the
it.
air
Like,
fryer. and,
right.
like,
Like,
yeah.
it's not as time consuming as people, because I think people like see meal prep stuff and it's like an enormous, absurd amount of volume of like containers, and they think that's what they got
Yeah.
to do. Like
You don't need to prep once for the whole week.
right, and you probably know your schedule too. So like I know if I won't have enough, then you can prep it for one day. Like you need like, and if you just have a normal portion size of something like for like ground turkey, like I said, like one container is going to be at least 2 like Tupperware things, right? So like you don't need to buy all this surplus of meat anyway, because if you're prepping for like 2 days, you probably need like 1, maybe 2 containers of whatever it is you're
Yeah.
gonna cook.
Yeah. Or rotisserie chicken's a good option too. You know,
I don't know anything about rotisserie
Bro,
chickens.
God.
I can't add anything.
Costco, like $4.99 rotisserie chicken. You know, you get the whole chicken. That's
You can
3
pick it
meals
apart.
right there. Yeah,
Mhm.
3 meals of just straight protein.
Don't be scared of leftovers. They're really good. They're powerful.
That's right. That's right. So, all right, guys. Well, so the point is prioritize your protein, right?
No matter your goal too.
No matter your goal, whether you're trying to bulk, whether you're trying to lose fat, the best way to do both is to eat lots of protein, right? And work out. And if you work out 3-4 days a week and you hit your protein, again, you're probably 70% of the way there. And then, you know, you're going to see really good results from that. Maybe we clean up a little bit some other things in your diet, but like nail that, you're going to see good results from that. And you're going to start to see them really quick. Plus you're going to start to feel much better. And if you guys have like an afternoon crash, you know, that might not just be because like you're not getting enough sleep. It might not just be because you're drinking too much caffeine first thing in the morning or whatever. It could be because you're not getting enough protein in. Prioritize that. That's the low hanging fruit.
Yeah, and like I feel like people
Fruit
get
doesn't
too,
have any protein though.
I feel like people get too worked up about like when did he, like I've seen a good amount of research now that like
Just get it.
right, it used to just get it. Like
Just
as long
get
as you get enough, like it really doesn't matter the timing. And there used to be like so much hype around like the anabolic window, like 30 minutes after you eat, like all that has been like pretty much widely disproven now. Like if it works for you to eat it before, some people can't eat anything before workout, eat it afterwards. If you like whatever your schedule is, you ate like 2.5 hours before and you're going to eat like 2 hours later, whatever that is, like as long as you get enough, like the timing really doesn't, in the end, it all seems to kind of balance out. So just get it in. That's it.
Just get it in. All right, guys. That's it for us today. We'll be back with you next week with more great stuff.
It's not about the money, y'all. It's about getting down for what you stand.
Thank you so much for listening to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. Do you have a question that you'd like for us to answer live on the podcast? If so, all you need to do is head over to the Apple Podcast app on your iPhone and do 3 simple things. First, leave us a rating and review telling me what you think of the podcast. In that review, ask anything you want related to health, fitness, or nutrition. And if you want a shout out, leave us your Instagram handle or name. That's all you have to do. Then listen to hear your questions answered live on the next Q&A episode.